Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 245. On tonight's episode, we're going to spin back down to New Mexico and talk about some of this new aerial footage that has been released that shows Zorro Ranch. And I was down there in February doing some research for the podcast and the story itself, and I was able to get down to Zorro Ranch and take some pictures of my own. I wish I would have had a drone with me or some way to capture these sort of aerial shots that they captured here on the sun, but it is a sprawling property, very desolate, and it was chosen for a reason. Not just because New Mexico seems to be a very corrupt place. No, that's part of it. But the desolation, folks. When I was there, and I am from Las Vegas, so I'm used to very wide spaces, right? Nevada is a very wide open state. Literally, the whole entire state is uninhabited. So I'm used to these long stretches of desert and desolation and stuff like that. But when I got to New Mexico and I was driving from Santa Fe to Zorro Ranch, I couldn't help but think how desperate these survivors must have felt if they were, even if they wanted to get away, right? You come out and you take a look at a place like this and there is nowhere to go. And when I was there in February, it was freezing. It was like 10 or 11 degrees the day I was at Zorro Ranch with all kinds of crazy wind chill factor as well. So add to the desperation you would feel at being in a place that is so desolate, the screwed up weather conditions on top of all of that. Oh, and did I mention the spotty cell service? And then you start to understand, you get an idea of why Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would choose a place like this. So tonight's article is from The Sun, and if you haven't seen the video yet, I highly suggest you go to their website. I'll leave a link, obviously, in the description box, and check out this aerial footage. I will also post a link to this article on my Twitter account. If you follow me there, you'll be able to check it out there as well. All right, so, like I said, from The Sun, headline, Pervert Palace. Jeffrey Epstein's immaculate Zorro Ranch seen in eerie footage as evidence sent to feds after Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest. Author, Katie Forrester. So, this footage was sent as evidence of the ranch after the arrest to the feds. And the Sun is running that footage right now. So, like I said, you definitely want to check it out. It's good footage, and it gives you an idea of how sprawling this property really was. Jeffrey Epstein's immaculately preserved Zorro Ranch is seen in eerie new footage after investigative evidence was sent to the feds which could see it seized, the Sun can exclusively reveal. Yeah, it should be seized. It should have been raided a long time ago. I have no idea what is going on in New Mexico and why these doors have not been kicked in and SWAT teams not descended on this property. What is there? What's buried out there? I mean, there are questions that need to be answered. And so far in New Mexico, we have still seen no movement. How is it that all of these other properties are raided, seized, evidence is searched for, but comes to New Mexico and all you get is the land seizure of the state-owned land that is on the property? Something doesn't seem right, folks, and I've been saying this since I went down there in February. Something does not sit with me right about New Mexico, and there is more there. Aerial photographs and video captured in the New Mexico desert show the notorious 10,000-acre estate where Epstein allegedly raped and sexually assaulted young girls with the help of supposed procurer, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, Ghislaine Maxwell. And again, I can't stress enough the desolation of this place. There is nothing around Epstein's ranch at all. If you were, say, being held against your will on this property, and you had any thoughts of escape, the second you took a look around you, it would really diminish your plans, because there's nowhere to go. And if you're not used to those kind of hikes through that kind of terrain, and I could speak to this for sure because I spend a lot of time hiking and backpacking through terrain just like this. If you're not prepared for it, there is no way you're going to make the trek that is needed to get out of this place, because it is tough terrain. It is desolate, tough terrain, and the weather is brutal in the summers and in the winters. So it was the perfect place for Jeffrey Epstein to set up. He might as well have had another island. That's basically what this was. Zorro Ranch was an island in the desert, basically. A few employees are still working at the site, seen here from the skies, but the multi-room white mansion is believed to be empty, with all of the curtains drawn and the Z logo still visible on the side of the building. And I reported that as well. When I was there in February, I didn't see anybody. There was no commotion, there were no security guards that came out to talk to me when I rang the bell at the front gate. Nobody showed up at the front gate. There didn't seem to be anybody doing any work on the property. But obviously, granted, I was only at the front gate, right? I only had a limited line of sight, and you can only see so far. So, from my experience, there was nobody there in February. Now, were there people deeper on the property? Perhaps. But from my own experience, I didn't see a single person. Creepy images of the idyllic ranch show the gardens in seemingly perfect condition, with luscious green lawns, low-maintenance shrubs, and large trees adding weight to the landscape. And remember, pilot Larry Visosky has property here on Zorro Ranch, a 40-acre parcel. So the question is, what's going on at Larry Visosky's house? Where does he fit into all of this? Is he going to be subpoenaed soon? Is he going to be caught up in a RICO case? I think he should be. This man was Jeffrey Epstein's #1 pilot, and so trusted that he had a parcel of land carved off for him here at Zorro Ranch. So this is a guy that definitely deserves a bit of a look. Investigators are now believed to be probing crimes at the mansion, with a number of women claiming to have been trafficked and abused at the ranch. Oh, now they're probing it? We've been calling for this for months now on this podcast, almost a year. But the survivors have been calling for this for years, and they've met nothing but resistance in New Mexico. And that was the reason I chose to go to New Mexico when I did, because we have had people go out to the island and New York and all of these places and provide good reporting, right? Good shots of the properties. It adds a little context when you can see what we're talking about. So when I went out to New Mexico, the main reason was there had not been enough talked about in regards to what occurred on this ranch. And it was amazing to me that it was still shrouded in all of this secrecy, considering the number of survivors who had come forward and said they had been abused there. So that was the main reason I went down there. And once I started talking to sources down there, I couldn't believe the level of corruption that occurs in New Mexico. I had no idea. One thing I will tell you folks is, before I started researching this case, I was so locked into geopolitical maneuvering and corruption on a geopolitical scale that I didn't even pay attention to what was right under my nose. One source claimed that manager Bryce Gordon and his wife Karen, who have been listed at the Stanley address since the early 2000s, allegedly disappeared after Epstein's death last year, with locals speculating they moved to New Zealand. And again, I'll take that with a grain of salt. It's just like the reports about Ghislaine Maxwell in France. Until we have some pictures or some proof, I always err on the side of caution when it comes to that kind of reporting. Because in the day and age of everybody having a cell phone with a 32 megapixel camera, chances are if they see somebody out who is popular or famous, they're going to get a snapshot. They're going to get pictures so that they could back up what they're talking about, right? It's definitely a show me kind of era. What do they say? YouTube or it didn't happen. But another source told The Sun this week the couple could still be at the property, choosing to stay out of the spotlight since Ghislaine's arrest. Now, I think that's probably more likely. I think that they're probably hunkered down, laying low, and they were hoping that all of this would blow over and that Ghislaine wouldn't be pulled in, and then in turn them have to answer questions about the whole entire sordid ordeal. But Bryce and Karen must answer questions. If they were the manager of this property, what did they know? How long did they know it? And why did they sit on it? It's very important that everybody who's involved is stringently questioned. Bryce and Karen are originally from New Zealand, and many thought they had moved back, but they are believed to still be maintaining the ranch, a source said. They also have a rental in Santa Fe, which they leased to a friend, and appear to be keeping a very low profile. So, like I said, make sure you click this link. There's some great aerial shots of Zorro Ranch, and there's also some shots from basically the front gate, kind of like the shots that I took. So it's cool to see the aerial pictures as well, and it kind of gives me a little bit more of an idea of what the property looks like from a different perspective. There used to be horses and cattle on the land, but there are no animals as the stable and fields remain empty. That's what I was talking about in February too, if you remember. I didn't see any animals, no cows, no livestock, nothing. Zero activity, no sorts of animals whatsoever, no workforce, nothing. There is never any answers at the intercom, and the large double gates are surrounded by an array of signs warning against trespass following a recent break-in. That's true. There is no answer at the intercom. I was there for an hour, and I rang it numerous times. Not an answer. Nobody responded. Nobody came out to check to see who I was or what I was doing there or what I wanted. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are still some people there working, but it is a skeleton crew, if anything. Once a playground for Epstein, an alleged madam, co-conspirator, fellow child molester, fellow child abuser, Ghislaine, who threw lavish dinner parties and frolicked in the indoor pool with famous visitors, it is now mostly deserted. A bright red SUV is the only vehicle seen parked near the garages in the entranceway to the Hilltop Mansion, with a row of colorful farm machinery is kept undercover close to the workers' cottages a mile from the main house. And again, I'll post the other pictures I have of those cottages that they're talking about here. I have a couple of pictures of those, and I posted one earlier. And back in February, obviously, before all of you, or most of you, I should say, were following me, I posted this stuff as well. But I'm going to post it again for everybody who just started following me and who have just found the podcast. That way you can all check them out as well. A large greenhouse stands idle, and a beautiful fountain in the courtyard, once enjoyed by guests, has been shut off. Locals are annoyed the ranch has not been raided, but investigators from the Attorney General's office have been working since last year to assist lead federal prosecutors by interviewing possible staff members and survivors listed in Epstein's infamous Little Black Book. All right, I get it, right? They're working behind the scenes, but it's an embarrassment. And I told you folks this when I was there. Everybody knew what was going on. All of the locals were blown away that this place hadn't been raided, that there hadn't been more movement, that people hadn't been arrested, and that their beautiful town of Santa Fe was connected to this dipshit and his nonsense. Every local I talked to was hip to what was going on, and they all would just roll their eyes at the corruption that occurs in New Mexico. And again, look, I'm not here to bash New Mexico. It was a beautiful place. When I tell you beautiful, I mean beautiful. Santa Fe is an absolutely gorgeous little place. But the politicians, obviously, in New Mexico are really, really, really disgusting. In a statement, Matt Baca, chief counsel for the Attorney General's office, told The Sun this week, "Our office has provided investigative evidence to assist lead federal prosecutors, and the New Mexico Attorney General is asking that Zorro Ranch be seized by federal authorities." Well, he shouldn't have to ask for that. Under the RICO indictment that I hope is coming, and that I pray is coming, that is all part of it. Everything that Jeffrey Epstein ever owned should be seized, put up to the estate, and it should go to the survivors. And like I said earlier, that $150 million fine that Deutsche Bank had to pay, that should go into the kitty as well. It's not yet known who they have spoken to or what evidence has been delivered to the Southern District of New York, which is continuing the investigation into the late financier, pedophiles, alleged co-conspirators. Epstein's address book, which featured 1,510 contacts, including staff, alleged victims, celebrities, and politicians, some of which say they never met the pedophile, first emerged in court after Epstein's former property manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, tried to sell it for $50,000. Gawker then published it in 2015. And the full book is out there. If you're looking for it, you can find it. And just remember, we have to be very cautious, right? We want to make sure that we're focused on the people who we should be focused on in this case. Now, everybody in that black book should be answering questions. But remember, there are so many layers to this shit. Enablers, actually people who are involved in the abuse, procurers, the core four. So it's very important that we keep everything in context. Property can only be seized in criminal cases in New Mexico, which may explain the delay. And Zorro Ranch is still being run by Cypress Incorporated, a company linked to Epstein. This is a criminal case. The Attorney General of New Mexico, with a snap of his fingers, could get a grand jury indictment here. I guarantee it. For some reason, they haven't. Now, I don't know if that's the federal authorities putting the thumb to them and telling them they got a different plan or what it may be. But the fact of the matter is this. This is all lip service. If the Attorney General wanted to get this place raided and seized, he would just have to go to a judge and plead his case. And with all the evidence that's available, I don't see how a judge would not give him the go-ahead and sign off on this place being raided. Frank Fisher, a public affairs specialist for the FBI's office in Albuquerque, told The Sun there are no announcements yet regarding any investigation. And I ran into the same roadblocks when I reached out to these guys when I was down there. I mean, no answers or no comment, that kind of thing. So I see where the Sun's coming from here with the no comment, and it's typical for the FBI, right? The FBI, again, they like to play things close to the vest. And unless there's a leak, it's very rare that you hear about one of these cases or the things that are going on behind the scenes. Angie Poss from the Land Office, who was turned away at the gates when her agency attempted to inspect the site last year, says Bryce and Karen never returned her calls. Her office canceled a lease agreement for 1,200 acres, and Cypress Incorporated attempted to sue before reaching a non-monetary settlement. Even in his death, okay? Even in his death, Jeffrey Epstein is remaining obstinate. Cypress should just acquiesce to whatever is going on here and understand that they have been crushed under heel. There's no more hiding from this. There's no more ducking out in the shadows or thinking your little hidey hole in New Mexico is going to cut it. The fallout is blowing your way. She told The Sun she is worried the investigation is taking too long and any physical evidence may have been removed or even destroyed, while she is concerned the information uncovered thus far may not be enough. Yeah, well, I agree with that. I've been saying the same thing. In these kind of cases, when you're dealing with a crime lord, a mafia boss, a don, a leader of a cartel, you hit all of their properties at once. One fell swoop. Surgically. But instead, here, for some reason, Zorro Ranch was not raided. We're still asking the same question the entire time. Why is this the only property where the FBI hasn't taken any action, she said. I'm pretty frustrated that it wasn't raided, and that was a feeling throughout our office that nothing ever happened. I've been following it pretty closely, and there's a little bit of renewed interest since Ghislaine was arrested, but I think documentary film crews have found out more about New Mexico than our state attorney general has. It's true, folks, right? And there has been people who have done way more comprehensive work on New Mexico than I have. But from just dipping my toe in as deep as I have, I can tell you right now that shit is not right in New Mexico. What is going on down there, especially around this ranch? Something is not right. And don't even get me started on the indigenous girls and the problem with them going missing there. That's a whole different podcast because it's like number 6 in the nation for human trafficking. So New Mexico needs to get their shit together ASAP. She added, Bruce and Karen are nowhere to be found, and some folks were arrested for attempting to break in. They stole something. I don't know how they got in. Well, that's easy. All you'd have to do is clip one of those fences there, one of those barbed wire cattle fences, and you could slide right in, no doubt. But the real question is, why would you go into this property and steal what these people stole? None of it made sense when it happened, and I, obviously chalked it up to them being tweakers. So I haven't heard anything more on the case, but I'm guessing that they were tweakers. According to the Santa Fe New Mexican, the arrested pair were relocating from California to Santa Fe when they decided to stop by and see what they could pick up. That doesn't make any sense. Melanie Villegas 25, and her husband, Darrell Carson, 31, each face one charge of non-residential burglary, criminal damage to property, possession of burglary tools, and larceny. Santa Fe County sheriffs busted the pair after they allegedly drove onto the land in a black Dodge truck. They were accused of breaking into a storage container and taking a radiator of a French antique Citroën car that was converted into a Mira with glass shelving worth about $500. Very odd. When quizzed about the cops, Villegas admitted they stopped by the secluded estate after seeing it featured in the Netflix documentary Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, about the pedophile's twisted life. The Santa Fe New Mexican names 2 members of the staff who still works at Zorro Ranch, security guards Amber Chavez and Cynthia Cano. Security guard Chavez first spotted the couple on the land, and as they attempted to drive away, she warned them, "Don't do that. I have a gun and the police are on their way," according to the police report. The Sun can reveal both guards are also listed in Epstein's Little Black Book and are believed to have worked at the ranch for years. Yes, they both are listed in the book, in fact. 2 other people that must be questioned. The couple, who have been released on $2,500 unsecured appearance bonds, denied having any weapons in their truck, but a deputy found 2 firearms along with a crowbar and bolt cutters. They are expected to appear in Santa Fe County Magistrate Court on July 8th. The Sun has reached out to Chavez and Cano along with Bryce and Karen, who did not return our calls. And again, I have received the same sort of treatment trying to get any phone calls returned from anybody in New Mexico or emails answered, anything like that. They do not want to talk. So, look, folks, I've been saying it from the jump. There's something more going on in New Mexico. There are a lot of secrets that must be uncovered, and not just at Zorro Ranch. The Santa Fe Institute must be investigated as well. All of these academics that were in Jeffrey Epstein's atmosphere and in his orbit, a lot of them had ties to the Santa Fe Institute, and what goes on there, who knows? But I guarantee you, when Jeffrey Epstein was involved, it was no good. To contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me at Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All right, everybody, I hope you all had a fantastic day today, and I hope you all have a fantastic night. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll do it all over again.